retirement reality check.
Right.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Right. And so we'll start off with who we are. Of course, Rosalind Marie. I am a financial wellness and birth coach, and I help families at whatever stage they are in life get financially elevated. Brandy?
I like it. Yes. Brandy Gamble here. I help people make and women make smarter money choices. I'm excited to share some information with you guys today.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Morgana.
Thank you. I am Morgana, a tax strategist and financial planner. I help women get sexy financially by getting tax savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And I am Monica Love, financial strategies with real estate investing and business savvy behavior.
Yeah. Let me just start off with this. Most people expect to live a certain lifestyle after they finish working. We call retirement, right, here in America. And that looks very different for different people, right? So if you were someone who worked a steady job, which is rare, kind of rare these days, but for instance, my parents, they were educators, they retired, so they have a pension, they draw Social Security, so they have multiple pieces in place. Doesn't necessarily mean they knew what they were doing at the time. They just followed whatever they were told, right? So they didn't necessarily know that there were other options, and they weren't sure where to go to understand what those other retirement options. However, I'm going to stop there and let one of the other exit strategies dive in, because there are other options. Ladies?
There are other options, Rosalind. And one of the things that you said is that your parents retired with a pension. Well, a pension is almost a thing of the past, unless you work in government or something. But with a pension comes the fixed income, where usually it's not quite enough to do what you need to have done, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the pension being a thing of the past, that's definitely true, right? And it's so important for us to think about, Rosalind, the retirement, setup that our parents have is not necessarily what we, or even our, the generation under us, or especially those generations, our children are not going to experience. So yeah, it's a big concern. And I know a lot of people are worried about, okay, now that piece is gone, we got to really be responsible for saving up enough to be able to, right, to reach those goals. Yeah.
Sure.
And Brandy, enough is a perfect segue into a retirement reality check. And that is, how much do you need to retire to live the lifestyle that you desire?
Absolutely.
You're right, y'all, but there I go.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. Rosalind made a good point that there's so many different strategies. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't say that there's no one size fit all for everybody, right? There's no cookie cutter solution that works for everyone. It really just depends on what's best for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And even though there is nothing that's cookie cutter, one of the biggest fears across America when it comes to retirement is not having enough to sustain the life after retirement.
Yeah. And what is enough? Right? What is enough, and how do you determine that, what is enough? We mentioned, like, there's no one size fit all. There are many ways that people are, looking to prepare for retirement today. One of those is, that whole strategy, buy term, invest the difference, right? They're going to invest for the rest of their lives in the market and, pray that they have enough. Are they really doing what they need to do? Would love to kind of dive into that a little bit more. What are your thoughts on the buy term, invest a different strategy, ladies?
But ladies, can Brandy, can you tell us first that story that really started this whole conversation?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I have a client I was starting to work with, and she shared with me that, she had some savings in her 401k. Actually, she had a Roth, and we'll talk maybe a little bit more about the difference between the two, but she had a Roth option. She had a traditional option. options. She had some money and she thought she was good. And as we're talking through, how much does she have and how much does she really need based on her age? Late 30s. As she started mentioning her amount, she said, I've got about 13,000 in these two accounts. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so what's your plan, for retirement? What do you want to do? And she's like, well, I'm thinking I'll probably retire at late 50s, early 60s. And I think I'm good. And I said, well, at this age, between 35 and say 40, you need to have about 2 to 3 times your salary. And she's like, oh, okay, I think I'm good. But then she said, wait a minute, is that monthly or annually? And I said, no, babe, it's annually. You need to have 2 to 3 times your annual salary between 35 to 40 years old. And she was just completely taken back. Like, wow, I had no idea. And I got a lot of work to do. And that's the reality for most of America. They really don't have an idea. Maybe not the reality for most Americans that they only have 13,000 saved, but the reality that they just have no idea how much they should have and even how to get there.
If you just think about it, right, there's something logical, right, that should click, and it may not click for a lot of people. If you think about it, you might be able to pay your bills today, right? However, we also recognize that taxes, inflation, and bracket creep, they're a real thing, right? Like that reality of prices going up, right? We're all feeling it. We all see it, right? Here we are in the middle of summer, 2024. Do you really think the prices are going to be the same?
No.
Absolutely not. And I just want to share this right quick, where they're saying that the Social Security Board of Trustees now estimates that based on current law, based on today, by 2041, the trust funds will be depleted. What that says to me is we cannot rely on Social Security.
Yeah.
Like, look, when people show who they are, they say, believe them. When they telling us that it's going to be, we need to believe it and do something about it for sure. Oh my gosh.
And that's why, Brandy, when you brought up buy term and invest the rest, that's a good strategy for some, but not for all. Right?
Exactly.
And we see it every day because you have to actually have enough to invest and then have the time for it to grow to the number you need it to be.
Absolutely. I would say another part of that buy term invest the difference strategy is you got to have the discipline. You could have enough money, you can have the time, but if you're not disciplined to put that money away on a regular basis, right? If you set a plan to put away $500 a month and you start backing off of that, right? You start, let me just do 150 this month, let me just do. It's not going to work in the way that you designed it. So absolutely, money, time, and discipline.
You know what comes to mind for me is I've got my 401k. I am good.
That was my client, right? That was she thought that. A lot of people think that 401k. Yeah.
But then that goes back to the notion of how much do you need in that 401k, first of all, especially considering the fact of taxes coming off of that 401k after you retire, right? You have to pay the taxes on that because it's the what is it called, pre-tax, where you don't pay taxes until after. And then it's the market risk because the 401k is subject to the market. So then there are losses that happen in the market. A lot of people last couple of years lost between 20 and 30% in their 401k based on the market declines.
Yeah, I want to say too, we're not saying we're against 401k. We're saying that's one method, right? And so we want to make sure that you understand there are multiple ways to prepare for retirement. But what's that saying? You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You definitely don't want to put all your eggs in the 401k basket only. And also the fact that many of us change jobs. And so many people have a 401k here, you work 3 years over here, 4 years over here, and that money is just sitting there because technically once you leave that job, they're not obligated to continue to grow your 401k for you, right? They're not vested in you. And so there are strategies that you definitely want to put in place where, guess what? The reality check of, oh my gosh, I only have a certain number of years to retire should be a motivation enough for you to get help. Right. And that is what we do at the Exit Strategy. We want to help you get there. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And if I can add to that,
Mhm.
one of the false sense of security that comes with I've got my 401k check, I'm good strategy is they're not aware of the unintended negative consequences of too much taxable income, which we see every day with clients, whether they're at a higher tax rate because taxes have gone up or because they mistakenly thought they would be at a lower tax rate, but they have less deductions, right? So they're still paying higher taxes, or the fact that Medicare costs are higher based on your taxable income, or the fact that your Social Security benefits can be taxed up to 85% at your highest tax bracket based on your taxable income.
Mm.
So we need you to
My
not
goodness.
out the 401. Okay, today I'm good. How is it going to impact you later? Sorry about that, Brandon.
Later. No, I'm just saying that's a lot for people to be thinking about. It's like, I thought the 401k was a good strategy, right? And then they hear all of that and like, whoa, that's a lot to be thinking about. So who would you say, or how can the 401k be best leveraged, Morgana? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
When I work with my families or businesses, my recommendation is contribution up to the matching level. And then anything above that, look at investments outside of work, because that's going to diversify your portfolio. And now let's say too, with disclosures, this is educational information. Do not go and make changes to your financial plan based on what you heard. Anything that may have talked about performance, which we didn't, is based on past performance and does not promise future results. With all those disclosures out the way, then take your money and invest it in investments outside of work so you have diversity. It's not the old days where you're going to be on that job forever. So then when you look at investments outside of work, we focus on investments that are tax advantage, meaning your money can grow tax-free and you can take it out tax-free. So that is what we would suggest. And then with don't let your old 401k sit there. You can consider rollovers. I'm working with someone now who didn't realize she could actually roll her money over. And get this, in her purpose, she only had 4 more years to gain interest, and then there would be no more interest gained on the account.
Wow.
See, these are the kinds of conversations that need to be had, which is the very reason that we do what we do as the Exit Strategy, right? Because people need to have these conversations, and some of those nuggets that you just dropped, Morgana, are some serious bombs, like mic drop moment. Yeah. Because you need to know how you're taxed in retirement, how to, I've heard folks talk about getting to a 0 tax bracket in retirement. How do you do that? But that's why you need a financial professional to help you navigate the waters of retirement.
Yep, that can give you the big picture. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Morgana.
I was just going to say, to further clarify that, a financial professional that has a focus on tax strategies
walk out the door before they leave that job, before knowing what their numbers are, right? Yeah. And not knowing that taxes in that time of that time or that last leg of your journey of working, that you're gonna have a lot of taxes. That 401k, it could be $1 million, but no, that's not just your money. You know what I mean? That's your money and the government. So if you want to make a change, we don't want to go back. We want to go forward.
One thing I wanted to say, Rosalind, if I can, before we close out, we talked about 2 strategies, common strategies that people have, but I'll tell you one common strategy is that people don't have a strategy.
Ah.
That is a common thing, right? That they're not investing. Maybe they have a 401k, but not, putting enough into it. It's just going with the flow, of life and not having a strategy. And that's a very dangerous place to be in.
Yeah.
But with that in mind, I think we can have a whole entire session on those who have no strategies and what they can do to improve that. And we should definitely circle back on that when we come back together next time.
Absolutely.
For sure. Make sure that you follow us. We are on social media channels. Make sure that you add comments below if you have questions around your retirement reality check. We would love to connect with you. We provide one-on-one services as well as to organizations, and we would love to follow up with you so that you're not just out there, what you said, Brandy, just figuring it out or not having
Going
a
with the flow, winging it along. Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us. And thank you all for joining us. Until we meet next time, have an amazing day.
Awesome.
Bye.
Good conversation, guys. Bye.